This is the POCO X7 Pro 5G and I've been using this for quite a long time right now. And in this detailed review, let's talk about all the things that's good about this, things that are okayish but manageable, and things that are not so good. And by the end of this video, you'll get an idea who this smartphone is meant for and if you should spend your money on this. And without wasting any precious time, let's begin. Now I'll be splitting this video into 3 sections. Things that are great about the smartphone, things that are good but not the best, and finally things that are not good on this. So let's start with the things that are great about this smartphone, and first is definitely the performance. So here I have the base model. So this comes with the Dimensity 8400 Ultra, 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. So this is UFS 4.0 storage. And I have to say, performance has not been an issue on this smartphone. For light usage, medium usage, and even heavy usage, this smartphone is strong. It performs really well when it comes to performance. Now for everyday casual work purposes or casual usage in general, this smartphone is going to fly through all apps you are going to use. And even if you are a heavy gamer, this smartphone can definitely handle that and you will need not worry about gaming on this smartphone. So I made a dedicated in-depth review covering the gaming experience on this smartphone. I'll have it linked somewhere here and in the description too, so make sure you check it out. But in short, let me tell you, this can actually play games like Call of Duty, BGMI, and even Genshin Impact at the highest settings without any drop frames. Now, especially in games like Call of Duty, you can get 120 FPS, and that is amazing for this price range. Now, if you are a BGMI fanboy, as of right now, this runs only at 60 FPS. I'm pretty sure an update will fix this, so we'll have to wait for that. But apart from that, even in super heavy titles like Genshin Impact, this smartphone can handle that with ease. Solid 60 FPS at all the settings maxed out, and that's how good this is. Now you might have a question. With all this power, does this smartphone heat up? And to be honest, the answer is not really, because I actually managed to get above 40 degrees only when I was playing Genshin Impact for a long period of time. And other than that, this smartphone really didn't heat up, and I was surprised because I mean, they do mention about like immense cooling and all that stuff, but I usually don't take it seriously. But here it actually worked. The smartphone was cool majority of the times despite me playing games continuously. So if you're a light user, you will never experience any sort of overheating, and even if you are a heavy gamer, you will definitely not experience it. But please don't go playing mobile games for a very long time because that's not good. But other than that, this smartphone is great when it comes to performance, and if you're someone who loves a performance oriented smartphone, then you will not be disappointed. Next up is the battery life. Now this has 6550 mAh battery, and I have to say this is a huge amount. Now for normal everyday usage, you can actually use the smartphone for 2 working days. Like, I mean, I don't mean 48 hours, but actually 2 working days, like you using your smartphone, and that is possible. Now, even if you are planning to game on this smartphone like continuously, you can actually end the day with decent amount of charge left to, do some other social media scrolling or even call someone. So that's how good the battery life is. Now, along with this, you get a 90-watt charger in the box, and that actually helps speed up the charging. Now, if you are charging this humongous battery with say a 45-watt charger, it is going to take a whole lot of time, because even with this 90-watt battery, it took me around 40 to 45 minutes to completely charge this. So that's how big the battery life is, and I'm really glad POCO included the charger in the box. So overall, in my testing, the battery life was pretty solid. The next best thing about this smartphone is definitely the display. So here we have a 6.7-inch 120Hz 1.5K AMOLED display. Now this here is a really bright and color accurate display. I really enjoyed watching content on this, playing games on this, and the 120Hz refresh rate definitely helps with the gaming. So the display is of no complaints here, and I can confidently say this here is an amazing display to view content on. The next best thing that I like about the smartphone is definitely the design. And this is very subjective. Design is very subjective, but I in particular like this yellow and black finish. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the other two, but this one definitely is my favorite finishes in this smartphone. Now, of course, this is not out of the world design and you might not like it, but I actually like the particular finish at the back, which actually complements the whole design, making it look good, especially from the back. So I mentioned it here. But if you don't like the design, definitely let me know in the comments below. Now, the quality, Wi-Fi connection, all were really solid. I had no issues with them, so that's great. And one thing I have to talk about is definitely the speakers. Of course, these are not like the best in the industry, but for what they are and for what this smartphone is priced at, these are really good speakers, and you get stereo speakers here, and this actually gets loud. The sound is good and they do not distort at higher volume, so I actually like this speaker. Now, of course, the bass is not as much as what I expected it to be, but it is still on the better side. So overall, these are really good speakers that can get decently loud. Now, there is IP68 water protection, and they have IP68 plus IP69 and all that in their promotional material, but it has some decent water resistance. So I mean, some splashes here and there will definitely protect it, so you need not worry. Now, the final best thing about this smartphone, and this is something that not many people will talk about, is that you get everything in the box. The charger, the cable, a case, an actually nice case, and all the other stuff. And I think that is something we all have to appreciate, because imagine this here is a 6550 mAh battery, and even if you want to buy a 90 watt-hour battery, it is going to be expensive. But POCO including that in the box is actually very, very good. So they definitely did think about the user. So with that said, these are all the amazing things that I loved about this smartphone. But there are things that are okayish about the smartphone. I mean, they are not very bad or not great. They are kind of in the middle. So let's talk about that. The first thing is the primary camera. Now, this here is an LYT 600 sensor, and it is a 50 megapixel camera. I have to say, the images that come out of the primary camera are actually sharp. They are sharp no matter what. Now, you do get digital zoom in this, and that utilizes the 50 megapixel camera. And I have to say, even using the digital zoom is good because of the huge resolution. And the final images are definitely sharp. They are crisp. The colors are not true to life. They are kind of a tad bit oversaturated. A little bit, not too much, but a little bit oversaturated. Now, the HDR performance is definitely a hit or miss at times. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it's not that good. So yeah, that is something you should keep in mind. And when you talk about the dynamic range, it's not going to blow out the competition, but it's good, it's decent. Nothing great here. Now, when you take a look at the video quality, it is actually good with the primary sensor. You can shoot up to 4K 60 FPS, and the videos are kind of steady. Even if you turn on the steady shot, it's not definitely going to be that super stable, but it's still good. But the final video output, the colors and the dynamic range are kind of good. I'm actually happy with the primary camera's videos. And for those who love slow-mo videos, you can actually take 1080p 960 fps slow-mo videos, but I would suggest don't do that because it doesn't look that great. But rather, I would suggest you to use 1080p 240 fps mode, because that looks the best. And I have to say, this here is a solid 50 megapixel camera. So if you are someone who just wants a camera that can take sharp images with good colors, then this will just get the job done. And the next in this list is definitely the UI. Now, this runs on Xiaomi's HyperOS 2.0. Now, I have to say, let me just tell you, this here is a good UI, but I am a person who loves stock Android. So this is personal preference. But one good thing I love about this user interface is that, of course, there is bloatware, but apart from like few, you can remove the rest. And the best thing is there were no pop-up ads. So in my previous experience using Xiaomi's skin, there were quite a lot of ads. Like, say, even when you installed apps, there were ads that popped up, but right now I didn't face any, so that's good. But this is not in the best section because of all this bloatware that can't be uninstalled, and especially this annoying thing that pops up when you swipe to the left, this entire section of ads and things, which I tried a lot to remove, but for some reason I couldn't figure out. If you know how to do that, put that in the comments below. But in short, this here is a very clean and smooth UI. It doesn't hinder the performance of the smartphone by any way. and there are some genuinely useful features. But there are some, bloatware that can't be uninstalled. So that is the reason the UI is in this list. But I don't have anything against the HyperOS. Next up is the fingerprint scanner. Now this here is particularly not a super fast fingerprint scanner. It does take a second or two to, it just takes a second to unlock. It's not like super quick. So that is something you have to consider. The next thing that I like about this is that I'm happy that this is not a heavy smartphone. Now considering the overall size of the smartphone, the size of the battery, this here is a pretty light smartphone considering all that. Now, this is around 195 or 198 grams. I think this here is pretty decently weighted. So kudos on that. And finally, we have kind of a decent vibration motor here. Sometimes it works well and sometimes not so good, especially while typing. I didn't really find the vibration motor that intuitive, that tactile. So it's decent, but not that great. And finally, let's talk about the things that are not so good about this smartphone. And the main things that are not that good about this smartphone is definitely its ultra-wide camera and its front-facing camera. Both the lenses struggle with outputting a really good image. Now, it's not even decent, it's straight out not that good. The images are very soft. Now, the front-facing camera is a 20 megapixel camera and the output is not that satisfying, because even in really bright areas, the output is not crisp. It is soft actually, and I really don't like it. And in the ultra-wide camera, the colors are actually kind of desaturated. They are not true to life, and of course, it is soft. The images aren't sharp. Now, if you are someone who's looking for the dreamy, soft output, then this might work. But other than that, these two cameras are definitely not the best. Now, especially if you are a selfie lover, you might not really enjoy this camera, because even if you turn off all the filters, you will still look soft. And of course, the front-facing video is capped at 1080p 30 fps. So that is again a disappointing factor. Now, I can accept that in 15,000 rupee smartphones, but definitely not at this price range. So the ultra-wide camera and the front-facing camera are kind of disappointing. So yeah. And finally, this only has USB 2.0. So if you're someone who is transferring files from your phone to your computer via the cable, then it is going to be not that fast. It's going to be slow. So again, that is something you have to keep in mind. And with that said, the POCO X7 Pro is an amazing performance-oriented smartphone. Now, if you're someone who is into intensive gaming, who plays a lot of games like BGMI, Call of Duty, or say even Genshin Impact, but don't want to spend a lot of money, then you should definitely consider this. If you want a smartphone with great battery life, then definitely consider this. Now, if you are someone who's into photography, takes a lot of videos on a smartphone, then skip this, go for some other smartphone. But if you're someone who just likes to take one or two clicks here and there, rarely, then the primary camera here should do the job. So for around 28,000 rupees, if you want a powerful smartphone for gaming or a powerful smartphone with amazing battery life, then definitely consider the POCO X7 Pro 5G. If you're a camera lover, skip this. So thank you for watching, and this here is Suman signing off once again. Catch you later.